right.
Freaking out.
Let's
do it. Wild thing. I don't know where I've gone. Gosh, don't ban me. YouTube, don't ban us. Now, okay, so this is the Daily Egg, and I'm nervous because this is the first time we're taking it over to YouTube. And also, I don't actually like the lens down here because I'm used to looking up here, and I'm going to change the lens around.
Okay.
So bear with me. This is live, so, as it happens, blah, blah, blah. I'm probably going to do some messed up thing here. Okay, wait, what? Hello? Yeah, okay, great. Great, now we've got it. God! Oops, yeah, oh, yeah. Oh, gosh, okay. Yeah, I know these things should have been done before, but what's the fun of that, right? Okay, so, good morning. This is the Daily Egg for Saturday, February 24th, 2024. Regular viewers of the Daily Egg on Instagram are used to all of this, but maybe you're not, and this is new for you. And right now, I don't know how many people get to see this or who gets to see this right now. We don't actually have anyone here. That's because this is completely new, and as per our, ethos, how the way we work, it is unedited, unscripted, unscheduled. And maybe we may need to change that a little bit and perhaps schedule the Daily Egg
I think
so that you know where to go. But, I don't know. I do know that I'm nervous about this because it feels like a huge change. And I'm not necessarily good with change. A lot of us aren't because we get fixed into a certain way. It's according to personality, and you know what? I'm really going to go there. According to even astrological signs, regular viewers on Instagram's The Daily Egg are aware that I view astrology as a science, as a philosophy. Of course, it was an original form of science before astronomy, until the Euro scholars decided it's a pseudoscience. Of course, they took all the knowledge of it, but anyway. So I feel that my Western sun sign makes me a person who doesn't adapt to change really well.
But when you do,
When I do, I'm, flying with it. You, on the other hand, you can drop you in the deep end anywhere, and and I've done that to you.
Well, like I said before, that sometimes there's no choice, so
Sure.
you just have to roll with it.
I love that. Whereas I'm like, no!
This is happening, so okay, let's go.
This is weird to also be here because I'm used to by now a few of our regular viewers who are completely unaware of this change. They're like, what? But I think it's time to change everything. It's time to shake things up. It's time to shake people out of their comfort zones as well. And I do that quite well with every word I utter. But it's also good for us. It's also good to get out of the rut of Instagram, because when I say the rut of Instagram, and something that Dwayne and I have been talking about, and Dwayne pointed out a few weeks ago, and that got me thinking about what it is we're doing here. Instagram is not for professionals. Instagram was never meant to be for professionals. It was what, as the name says, Insta. It was supposed to be instant. What you see, bang, put it up. As a photographer, it was a wonderful secondary, a tool for us to showcase that as a photographer, I am a natural photographer because I can just instantly show you, what I'm seeing. So that was really good. By the way, I really love that the timer is here, so we can see how long.
Oh, lovely.
So that's great.
That's cool.
That's really great, because if I didn't have a timer, regular viewers know I can talk forever. But on Instagram, there is a limit of 4 hours, unfortunately. And this is all really just, I'm going to take it all as signs. Instagram now is cutting off at 1 hour. And that's great. But also okay, it's time for me to move and also restructure to an hour. So don't, I think I'll still keep to that hour of chaos, of organized chaos type thing. So, change. Instagram. We're all caught in that deadly scroll. We find it. I find Dwayne does it, and that's weird because he was never into social media and stuff, and only joined Instagram in just like a few years ago for work, right?
That's right.
And never really that prolific on it, etc. We
But
don't
still,
still.
that I think that needs to change.
Well, Instagram is a wonderful tool to promote one's skills, but it's become a real platform for, well, artifice and fakery and processed, produced stuff. So it's producergram, it's hustlergram, it's fakegram, and it's sad because Instagram. I love Instagram. It's a very beautiful platform. But holy cow, what a wonderful platform YouTube is. Not sucking up here, okay? But I really, we can all now have our own broadcast channels. For those of you who are new to us, to me, to whatever it is we talk about and our backgrounds, I am a former television news presenter and radio presenter. My background is very much media, music, and fashion. And I have continued to work in these whatever industries, etc. But at one time they were all quite combined. They still are supposedly, but overlapped in non-merit ways, should I say? But anyway, boo-hoo, ho-hum, times move on. Let's move on with it, right? Everything needs to change. Everything needs to, even nature needs to change. But nature already changes. We force nature not to. We force nature to bow to our will as if we think we are outside of nature and nature is something we can command instead of understanding that we come from nature. So this is what's happening on Instagram. I'm really, the filters and the constant, instructions on how to be authentic. So anyway, this is equivalent for me, jumping out of the small pond into a bigger pond where we're small fish. Because, you look at YouTube, and it's still a lot of the hustle culture on YouTube, of course. And, all these shorts and that are the equivalent of reels, etc. So you're supposed to pack into 60 seconds entertainment, education, wisdom. Most of that wisdom is plagiarized or fake, and it comes from, or whatever it is, it's used for something else. It's used as hooks. Okay, so I really need to stop whining about what that is and what this isn't, etc. and we've already got that figured out, but so for those of you who are new to this, and I do hope that the regulars aren't too perturbed by the change that I've just forced upon them. I mean, I decided yesterday, darling, we're going to go on YouTube, and you're like, sweet.
Give it a shot.
Yep. And so here we are. And now I don't know what to talk about. And I've just been really, really nervous and da-da-da. Change does this to me. Whew.
So it's like when you have a new phone, right?
Oh, yeah.
What happens?
When I have a new phone, I hate it. And I it's the worst thing in the whole world, and I refuse to, and then like 5 minutes later. But over the years, it got better because this is not a new phone, but you can transfer things immediately, etc.
Right.
So technology has made everything so easy for us. None of us really, I actually quite like the having to force myself to get out of the rut we all get into. Not you, but most of us. Of doing the same thing. We get so used to it, our comfort zones. I quite enjoy the thing. It's like, I've mastered this now. I am boss kind of thing. But now when everything gets easy, it's like, oh well. Reels, making everything easy for people who want to be creative. So it's not actually helping creatives. It's not actually helping people become creative. It's helping non-creative people, like what AI is now. AI is for non-creative people. And I do want to talk about Canva on that one. Because
it depends. Because I think it makes a creative person's job a bit easier as well.
Yes, but that's not what it's being used for.
That's
AI
right, yes,
is currently being
yes.
used to make art.
Yeah.
And instead of helping the artists refine their art or bring their, or not have to, like as a photographer, I hate editing.
So do you think we're in danger of losing creativity?
Yes, we are.
100%, right?
Absolutely. When creatives now are saying, so all these AI people, Adobe even, are utilizing creatives, photographers, artists, graphic designers, writers. And that's what we are to start. And to now they're utilizing or getting the artists to say, hey, this is what we can create, blah blah blah. Look, I don't know, and I have to fight against my Gen X side on this one, and the side of me that doesn't quite like this change of things, So I don't know, but I'm seeing artists. Look, I think AI is really good for fashion designers to visualize a concept. But a very interesting thing for me is this. And so there's lots of artists visualizing fashion collections, etc. And they're putting it on, I keep needing to change this. And they're putting it on, so they have all these cool old people.
Yeah.
AI old people. And it's like, okay, so you're not actually going to use real old people who are cooler than cool. There's lots of us around. I'm in my 50s, okay? He's in his 40s. But we're talking
I've seen
older people. And they're dressed really fantastically, etc. But what's the point? We treat old people like shit. Oh, are we allowed to swear on Instagram?
YouTube.
Oh, YouTube? Beep! 4-second delay.
Well, so is it a money thing?
What do you mean?
Like, would they have to pay real people?
And isn't that sad that this is what we're not doing? Darling, well, that is absolutely beautiful what's happening to you.
So I'm using the teas that we have in the cupboard that I haven't
We're
used.
lovely. So those of you who are new to our show, this is what happens on the Daily Egg, the Daily Brews, but it's the weekend, so we've got coffee because I had wanted to reduce my coffee intake. And I don't want to not like the taste of coffee anymore. And I need coffee to do what it does, and that is stimulate the senses, not actually make us all immune to stimulation. That's what happens. Coffee, caffeine, all of a sudden, it just becomes, So that's all regular viewers know. That's just the usual. And the Daily Egg, the brewing of my ginger tea, which we do actually have on our YouTube various channels. We have and more of that will be coming through. Food for thought or something like that. And Arabic spiced coffee, which Dwayne makes because I love Arabic coffee, kawa, which I'm not pronouncing correctly. My apologies, and I used to be able to. And why can't I now? Because I don't know. But it's got cloves and cardamom, and my ginger tea also has cloves and cardamom. It's very, very. It satisfies every part of my palate, which I have always missed in teas. So, by the way, do understand that your tea bags do have microparticles of plastic in them. So it is best to actually brew tea leaves. But I have always,
It tastes different as well.
Yes, absolutely. And then Dwayne just makes his normal tea, but it all looks rather beautiful right now.
So I'm using a French Earl Grey.
French Earl Grey.
Well, it's in there, so I might as well.
This
Also,
quest for teas has a lot of. Okay, great. Well, so I suppose you're just improvising. Anyway, so people are like, now, is this all they talk about? Yes, and more. Life. The lives of our days is a window into life, our life. And it's not that we now specifically are a certain way. It's just the button is me opening a window and like, hey, this is what we're talking about. But we're talking about things all the time. Now, the change thing is also about this. Is anything really changing? And it's a question we need to ask, because what has changed? There's a few things I can say, like for instance, okay, I don't know why this has come to mind. First thing that's come to mind is after that heinous terrorist attack is it Christchurch that happened in New Zealand, of course. Well, there's other Christchurches in the world, I think. when Jacinda Ardern was the Prime Minister of New Zealand, and she immediately did this, had a gun reform, pulled guns away. And John Howard had done that 2 decades ago because of a terrible terrorist massacre done by a white Australian. And he shot, so then a gun reform. So they were able to do it like this, And Jacinda, and in the modern times, Jacinda's stance is more powerful because A, she's a woman, and in modern day, people in their right to arms and who's a terrorist, etc., etc. But this shameful, I hate to even call him an Australian, allegedly person, an alleged person. The massacre in the mosque, and then Jacinda Ardern made a real change there. Those are the 2 changes that have come to mind because, of course, the state of America refuses to change anything in regard to that because there are people who are constantly say they have the right to bear arms.
It's in the Constitution. Right?
Which was a poem about war. Not the Constitution, taking things from a poem about war, and that's what their national anthem is. Star Spangled Banner, I think. I do know all of these, but I should have. That's the other thing about. We don't come to you with a script of facts. How boring. But facts are what you get, and facts, by the way, do change according to the truths. Truth changes all the time. So what we know as something to be a fact is based on the truth. So we get told the truth, then we say, well, that is the fact. Even in science. So science is the discovery of truth. Search and discovery.
Because that science changes all the time.
Sure. Yeah. So, science is is the search for truth and the discovery of fact.
Yeah.
Something like that. But going back to the whole change thing, so we've changed, just channels, and it's now a bit like, well, there's no one here. Of course there's not, because we haven't scheduled it, we haven't told anyone, we just sprung it on everybody, and now people don't want to leave the comfort of the doom scroll. Instagram is the place where everyone goes to either, satisfy an itch to feel miserable, because people are feeling miserable, but they still scroll through, and so I don't know. And there's people. The advice is if social media is making you miserable, go off it. And my thoughts to that is like, why is social media making you miserable? Why I have gone off a bit from all these things is news. The accounts I follow on Instagram are news accounts, views accounts. Science accounts and spirituality, and certain celebrities, like I will follow one or 2 that I think have surpassed celebritydom and have become, are iconic, So you kind of, I like what they do. But we're all stuck on a wheel. We're all stuck on this algorithm wheel. You really do see what you seek on Instagram, and because the algorithms will always feed you what it is you are seeking. So people will always, depending on what you search for, of course you're always going to get that being thrown at you. It just, it's what advertisers do as well. Yeah. That's like right now. That's why everyone thinks their phones are talking to them. Because shoes haunt me. Shoes are my, so I'll go and just salivate over shoe, brands, etc. Which, and then I'll be like, oh no, I don't. And then all of a sudden I'll go onto news articles, and then right smack bang there is an ad for the shoes, I was looking for. So, no, your phone's not talking to you. It's all connected. So badly connected now that when you go to Instagram and ask for a download, to back up your information, by the way, I learned the hard way also to really protect yourself.
Well, that was a change.
That was a change, yeah. Facebook Yeah, Facebook. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, the other thing you will frequently find is that I forget what I'm talking about. Anyway, so algorithm. So, well, I'm saying connected, right? Before you could ask Instagram, Meta now, but Instagram solely just for the download of what you have got your content. And in a space of a few weeks, it went from Instagram, Meta sending you the information to now they sending it straight to your Google Drive. When did Instagram and Google become partners?
Well, I mean, can you sign in on everything through one account, right?
Through Google. I don't. I don't. But we now know that our Meta accounts are all connected.
So, and I guess that's what Meta means, right?
Sure, but when did Google become part of Meta? That's what kind of freaks me out. I mean, it's like saying, well, this should automatically go onto Instagram.
Yeah.
Or that, if I want...
Basically, because YouTube is Google.
YouTube is Google, right? Based.
Yeah.
They were all separate things, and the conglomerates and the monopolies just go and buy everything. Look, I love you, YouTube. I do. But why is everything just merging? Nothing is changing because everybody, the same people, are running everything.
Well, everything's connected.
Which is great,
Yeah.
but it's supposed to be at this level, human level, not at artificial intelligence level.
Well, it's following the same model, I guess.
And segregating us further, segregating human beings further.
Oof, yeah.
And merging everything and saying that this is how we're all supposed to be. Further making people feel like, what's going on? Are we not, further making us all feel whatever. I've always surpassed that. Like, I have never looked at something and thought, oh, I don't fit in here. I look at everything and go, what's wrong with you people? I will be alone in a crowd of a million, and I'll be like, holy cow. This just, what? I am very much like that. It's not arrogance. It has been my ability to see patterns and see through the ties that bind us. And people are bonding through trauma. People, particularly people of multiculture, we're bonding through trauma. We're bonding through what is oppressing us and marginalizing the cultures and the communities. Because, well, they're really, really pushing back. And we have actually also said one interesting thing. And I don't know if it's, boy, am I going to get it if I say it, but, we have realized how Black Americans are, right? Mm. They do come together.
Yeah.
They do unite. And it's a wonderful thing to see because we're also noticing how each racial grouping is so segregated than the other. And it comes down to melanin, that very natural thing that our brains evolved for us in order to protect us against that shiny thing in the sky. And for some reason, the people with the least melanin think that they're the most superior on a planet ruled by a sun. Yeah, I don't get it. But all that comes down to is the people of lesser melanin were then protected because, oh, you're too fragile, you're going to burn to a crisp, so you stay. And then for some reason, that became the, so like people who were lighter skinned or less melanated were also then thought to be, well, they're the richer people, so... Yeah. I really feel, and this is just what we call our imagination. We see patterns and we make leaps of factual faith where we think, okay, this is feasible. This could be. My darling, I just need to time out here. What are you doing?
I'm just going to make some scones because
Well,
we've got some cream and
cool.
some lemonade. And I want the lemonade might go flat and the cream might go off, so I just thought I'd use it.
I love how you just...
So 3 ingredients scone. Self-raising.
We've got a scone thing happening here. By the way, I love that you are zero waste.
Yeah.
I love that. It's so fantastic.
Try.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
Well, you are too.
Am I?
Yeah. You use everything.
I do. In what? Because if you're talking about cooking, I don't cook.
No, in the house.
Oh, right. Because, like, when did I last cook? Never. I never cooked. And that doesn't mean I don't know flavors. That doesn't. So you really should be watching some of our cooking, episodes, because Dwayne can cook, man, and I know flavor. And between us, we are magic. Ta-da! So, what was I saying? Gosh, here I've done it again. I've forgotten. Whoops, melanin, right? And so that segregation is what I'm talking about. So for me, it is really ridiculous to think that people, especially of a continent, that it's people who think that they're the most superior in the world, while being also the newest iteration of, maybe people think, and that's the world, right? We've been convinced. This is what, going back to that, using AI, old people, we've been convinced that that the new is better. And who convinced us about this? Because all the other cultures and racial groupings, the ancients, know the old ways are better. That the wisdom and the depth of accumulation of knowledge is better.
Sure.
But who thinks that the newest is better? The Euro constructs.
Well, I also have this thing about tradition, that it's holding back progress.
I agree with you.
There's a few parts of tradition that just won't budge. And you see it. Okay, so I was born in Fiji.
Me too.
Right, so there's a lot of things there that I don't agree with.
I agree.
Traditionally,
We're gonna have to move forward.
And some constructs don't really work anymore. I just think tradition needs to be a bit more flexible.
Tradition is supposed to be flexible,
Yeah.
but people use tradition to keep people down.
Right. So, do you agree that it needs to change with the time?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it can't stay where it is. It needs to
No.
change. So change needs to happen in tradition as well, for progress to happen.
Let's unpack this further. Tradition is a wonderful way to unite, to make sure we have a balance of the accumulation of wisdom, right?
Sure.
And tradition unites us. Tradition gives us all. What is tradition? What is tradition? Okay, cite an example that you think is holding us back in our country of birth.
Oh yeah, I have to think about this one. But okay, so.
Okay, things have always got to be done a certain way because you're going to offend these people, those people,
That's
that
right,
people,
yeah.
whatever. And it's like, okay, but sometimes, okay, let's unpack this.
Okay, so religion. All right, religion is a tradition, right? So
Is it?
Well, I mean, you can look at it that way. So it's come from a model.
Religion creates traditions.
Right.
Okay, so religion isn't the tradition. Religion is a form of control.
Right.
And within that control,
And I think tradition has followed that model as well. So it's become a thing where you can't do certain things.
can you find out? Sorry, yes,
Yeah.
the literal meaning of tradition.
Yeah. All right.
And before you continue with that, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, darling.
No, it's okay.
But like, what exactly is tradition, and why are people so bound by this, particularly people of culture? Now, what we talk about is how the Euro constructs have taken the traditions and they've stripped away a lot of the things that tend to hold back progress. Now, the thing with progress is, what is progress? Is progress competition? Is progress... What is progress? Evolution. But progress and evolution have become two separate things now. And progress is actually halting evolution, from my point of view, right now.
The transmission of customs or beliefs from generation to generation. That's tradition. Well, that's the definition, right?
And there is what you're saying, what is wrong.
Well, yeah. No, that's not wrong. It's just
It is.
that-
The transmission of customs or beliefs from generation to generation, or the fact of being passed on in this way. Why I'm being... Sorry.
I agree that tradition has some beautiful things about it, but it's just whoever's made it you taboo like the belief of like in the gods and stuff, right? You can't do this and that because the gods burn.
Let me say,
Thank you,
because
thank
you
you.
you
Yeah,
you don't like
yeah,
having to,
sorry,
and when we talk about this, and when we talk about, we also have a podcast called Radio Fly,
Sorry,
and when Dwayne and I talk
focusing
about
on
this,
this.
and also because he's cooking and stuff like that. So I do know what you're saying. I just don't want to have to. I'm not speaking for him.
Yeah.
Dwayne and I have talked about this many times before.
It's got a lot of
Dwayne's
things
not a
going on.
presenter. I am, and Dwayne gets really quite
Yeah.
shy talking on camera. And Dwayne's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things cooking. So I'll let you focus on that, sweetheart. But I do. I'm gonna, because I was brought up Hindu. I am not Hindu. I'm not religious. I am spiritual, and I agree that religion is a lovely, lovely thing if it was used for what it may have originally been created for, and that was as a system of guidance for people. Because not everybody knows how to guide themselves, navigate themselves through this finite cycle called life. So religion then becomes a set of just not rules so much as guidance, like, or like coordinates of how to map out yourself. So, okay, so you identify with the people who are around you, and these people identify with this religion, and it's almost like people don't understand. You don't have to do all of that. It's not that's what the tradition is. That's what you're talking about.
Yeah, so
that people think it's traditional. You've got to be religious. That because, sorry, what?
So do you like how women are in traditional aspects of tradition, right? So the rules for women, that should change, right?
You have to cite these rules, darling,
Right,
before I
yeah,
actually
sorry.
understand. Because yes, everything, because there should not be rules in terms of person.
It's almost like to control the masses.
Not almost like, it is.
Yeah, well, that's why I think all that stuff should change.
But the control was first corralling.
Yeah.
Because not everyone knows what to do. This is why we have discrepancy in personalities. You have leaders, and then you have people who need guidance, not to be led, not to be controlled, not to be manipulated, but to be guided. So it's. Sorry, this is because you have many points that you've made, and now I'm going to have to think about how to say these points. But when we converse with each other, Dwayne's making those points, and you've cited some really relevant points. But again, in the interest of not offending more people than I already offend, I'm going to have to sort of figure out how I wanted to say this, and I don't want to script any of this shit. That defeats the point of being live. And be authentic, script it.
That was loaded.
Oh boy. And so anyway, this is the scone mix happening here.
Just gotta get the right consistency.
Dwayne's scones are superior. They're those chunky scones that, not just those perfect looking, they're just chunky. And they're like, oh yeah, rip them apart, slab cream on them, jam on them. Sorry. Anyway, so that's traditional. That's tradition. We've got,
Yeah, sure.
But that's a tradition that now, you use you use only 3 ingredients. So this is what I said. It's wrong when you read it out because of what I immediately cottoned onto, and that was the word generation. Generations are being kept small by tradition.
Okay.
When tradition needs to move with the generation. So that's my thing about it. It's not. Tradition keeps people small, and therefore you have each new generation rebelling against a tradition that no longer makes sense to them. Because that was a tradition that was put into place 100 years ago and has no relevance to how people are today. I still don't quite understand the traditions in place. When I look at young people and I think, well, what do you mean it's your tradition to be, it's why I now understand why you're so, because religion is very much I'm just going to take you out of frame when I talk about certain things, darling, because this is my words, and I will take the responsibility for it. When I see young people doing the traditions of their religion, I think, wow, this is not changing. I do think that what's happening in Iran after the murder of the young woman because her hair was showing underneath her head covering. Look, I do think that Iran, that's a change now. Mm-hmm. But they're rebelling against a tradition which is keeping people small. I'm seeing feminists. There's a white feminist in Australia married to a man of the religion that requires her to wear head covering. I think, oof. I think religion is very dangerous for the world. It has gone far away from spirituality. What it has done is filled everyone, your minds, whatever, with mantras and psalms and verses and avoidance set as positivity. Of course, the new religion now is, my therapist said. So now people are aping that. And for those of you who know my background, I have experienced considerable amount of trauma or experiences that have caused trauma. I've grown up with childhood and teenhood experiences that have caused a lot of trauma. And I imploded a few years ago, and it's been quite a walk up a severe cliff, mountain, hillside. Sometimes the healing trajectory is a pleasant walk up a beautiful, nice, just a lovely slope that makes you feel healthier with each step. Sometimes it's me in Mission Impossible, rock climbing up an overhang, hanging upside down with no harnesses, ropes, or anything. Yikes. And that's a healing trajectory that I find that a lot of people don't actually want to put themselves into. But that's another story. We'll talk about that later because, oh my gosh, you know what? I'm going to throw domestic violence in it too because I do need to talk about that. We're not talking about it enough. It's getting worse and worse and worse. We're not going to the source of it. What is going on with people? Why are people so intent on destroying others? Because it's tradition? Because that's what human beings do? Why? I don't know. Look, I really didn't want the first episode on YouTube to be so heavy.
So we do.
No. Where's my wit? Why am I not funny? I'm nervous. It's like the big pond now. I'm just a little guppy. And there's people galore who will tell you what to do and everything. And gosh, I don't know. Tradition we're talking about. Okay. But I do get why, because people are so without identity.
Right, sure. The search for it.
The search for identity leads people back to tradition. Leads people to religion, and right now the prevalence of all the what has been called the pseudosciences and the esoteric philosophies, the astrology and all that stuff. People are looking for identity, and I assure you this one thing: one of the more accurate ways of finding identity and finding out who you are is actually through astrological ways, because nothing. By the way, I might as well plug myself here. I do star charts. I studied astropsychology, and I am a journalist and a writer and a researcher, and well, that's all of that requires my ability to unpack information and find fact over and over again. And I'm a photographer and a publicist. That has given me years, decades of experience, and all that has given me a particular talent of being able to see who a person is. Because as a photographer, I need to be able to see the person's soul through the person's exterior. And I've got to see that quickly because people, you know, I'm not a set production photographer. I am very much an improv photographer. Like, hey, let me photograph, you know. And that trauma I mentioned that I had experienced in my childhood and my teenhood. Well, for those of you who have also experienced it, you know that those triggers make us detectives. We have to, you know, constantly work out what is going to trigger someone. So you become adept at reading people. So I can read people. And I have found that astrologically, and I am a woman of science, and we are people of fact, but as my beautiful, artistic, pure art husband, a man of science and practicality and pragmatism, and one of the few people I know who is present, says he believes in magic. Magic exists, and why, you know, but we come out of this cinema and we go, oh, you know, it's all just fiction. We refuse to believe, you know, even, and those of us who do see it, even I am cynical. I'm cynical despite all the miracles I know exist in the world and that have happened to me. Because as I have said in previous lives on Instagram, you have to meet your miracle halfway. But we'll talk about that another time. We're still talking about change and tradition. But yes, that is also about changing your traditional way of thinking. Everyone thinks the miracles is just going to come, you know, a bolt of lightning and voila, a miracle has ensued, you know. But the miracle can't find you. It is that simple. You've got to meet your miracle halfway. You've got to actually take a leap of faith into that pool of miracle. And then the miracle will go, oh, there you are. All right. Ding. And whether it is that or just factual in that, well, you make the first moves and then all of a sudden you change your mental perspective changes without you knowing. Your subconscious changes once you take a leap of faith into yourself. Your subconscious changes and then starts finding the answers, and there you go, it's a miracle. And that's what prayer is. That is what prayer is. Praying to yourself by externalizing what it is that creates those miracles. Gods, I understand, need to exist because human beings realized that, if we all recognize the divinity within us, the gods within us, of course God exists. We exist. We created God. But there are people who've exploited that, and there are people who understand that if everyone thought that way, well, as I said, there's already people in the world who think that way, and look at what they're doing to the world. So it's about keeping ourselves humble whilst also allowing the ego to understand that we are the creators of our destiny. Now, of course, all of that is lost under the rubble of humankind, the patriarchal especially, need to conquer, to make up for something. Anyway, as I've said before, look, all of you looking to conquer each other's land, etc., just flop it all out on a table, bring out the measuring tapes, go for it. Go for it. And if that doesn't work, then have sporting teams. Bring your just a team of 15. Let's go with rugby union rules, right?
Yeah.
Because we're rugby people. And your best people who want, and the captain of that team is the actual general or the leader. Why send the young people out to die or get PTSD for the rest of their lives while the old guys, just die at 100 healthily? But anyway, look, this is now the main event of this show. It is the Daily Egg.
And Vegemite toast.
And Vegemite toast. Because we're Aussie, mate. But also, we're from Fiji and Vegemite's a big thing there. Well, I grew up in England and Marmite and all that stuff is a big thing. Anyway, what was I saying? We're talking about change. We're talking about...
You were talking about Well, they just flop it out.
Oh, yeah.
And that's sporting, right?
Yeah. But no, they want to ruin the world instead. Gosh. And people who think that this is a natural way of life and this is how, yeah, you kind of bought the hype a bit too much, mate. We're not different species. One species. Oh, yum. Anyway. Eggs. Poor egg. Goes through this whole... I mean, I don't know. Are eggs bad again?
Are they?
I don't know. Well, they're supposed to be good. No, because so before it was, eggs are great. And eggs are not great.
Then the whites are...
Whites are great. Oops, the whites.
Yeah.
The whites suck. I'm talking about egg white.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what's happening now with eggs?
I don't know. We're eating it. It's the daily egg. It's good for you. It's
Just eat
nutrition.
it. Just eat it.
It's nutrition. Just eat it. Eat it. Everything in moderation. Everything in moderation. You know? Religion in moderation.
Bit overcooked. But
Well,
yeah, I was...
That's because I, made
Yeah.
you come and...
No, well, I was talking. So I should just focused on it. That's what happens.
Anyway. As I find myself chewing, I'll take a bite and then I'll chew. I'll take the bite here and then I'll move away. It's like, oh no, wait a minute, I should take the bite over there. We were talking about why we had started with this is anything changing at all? And tradition, that thing, what you're saying, darling, is that tradition is actually stopping the change happening. Tradition is now being used as gates. It's a gatekeeping thing. Don't change. So the older people want the younger people to respect tradition, and the younger people would respect tradition more if they were allowed to take tradition and with absolute respect flex it, be flexible with it, change it. Things.
Sure.
I know the things you have wanted to say. Because there's so much. One thing I don't understand in Fiji is why everything is so set in tradition when it's predominantly a Christian country.
That's the other thing, right?
Why are the traditions so bound? You can't do this, you can't do that. And I'm very much a product of a time when protocol and etiquette existed. And I like it. Tradition is a wonderful way. It's unity. It's wonderful.
It is beautiful, of course. I'm not saying it's not.
I know you're not. But it is inhibiting evolution. Tradition is not supposed to inhibit evolution. It is supposed to aid. And tradition's purpose is to unite. Tradition's purpose is to continue legacy and history. Tradition is a storytelling thing. Our ancestors did this, and how wonderful to connect with our ancestors through tradition. But as a person of this day, this present day, all of that is supposed to be for the next evolution, the step forward. Maybe I do need to script a little bit because I'm like, what am I saying with this? Really, actually, I do know what I'm saying, but in the interest of not, I want people to watch, and people are so nasty. Oh my God! And just understand this: if you're going to be nasty,
Be nice about it.
yeah, or because be prepared for the wrath of good, and you better check to see if you've got the actual intelligence to refute things. Not saying that anything we're saying is absolutely, because opinions are subjective, observations are objective. We provide both. I have had to learn to make my opinions less subjective. But no one has an objective opinion. It's impossible to have an objective opinion. And when someone does have an objective opinion, people get so offended. And that's because we go against tradition. Oh. Look. By the way, if anyone wants to know what we're wearing t-shirts, which you can't see properly, but this says a word that is a swear word in Fijian, and this says urban jungly, and these are from VT679, our t-shirt brand, and they're just keeping slang alive. Fiji slang. I think that there's a lot of things that people are. One thing I've seen, and I've seen more and more, is that older people do not give over. And so this is why tradition then gets, this is the way, it has always been done. Because older people don't want to no, it's not even that.
It's a power thing?
Maybe. Because, as a Gen Xer, I do look at what's happening now and go, ugh. But also have to look at it from a point of view like, well, is this what evolution is? Like, I see it from as a woman in my 50s, I do look at what's happening with especially young women now and the way they are with their faces, with their bodies, and their lack of satisfaction with their self. It's like, no, this is but the other side is they think they're a canvas and that they can do whatever they want to make themselves satisfactory to themselves. So that is why more and more people are looking alike. We're losing individuality. So we're this generation, because of their lack of identity, are now making sure that they all look alike. And if they're not bigger, then they're plastic. And
it's a trend, right? That's what's trending.
Is that trending? Is that a trend?
Well, what was it? Okay, what was it before? What plastic surgery has always been around, right? Before it was boobs, now it's ass, right?
I guess so. Yeah.
So, and everyone wants to look like the celebrities on TV. So everyone looks like the Kardashians. You know?
Yeah. It's their
that's the template.
Their impact is insane. Their impact is insane, and it's because I do understand. That's a completely different episode altogether about the impact of these people, and what it actually says about people, that they so readily accept somebody's artifice as reality TV. Fakery. People have accepted everything artificial as reality. Is that evolution? I can't see that as being evolution. But however, you and I have talked about that evolution is neutral. Evolution will happen when a perfect something, when we achieve perfect something. So it's either going to be perfect good or perfect evil. And then evolution will happen. Evil is a result of apathy, I believe. Evil is a result of too many people sitting on fences, or too many people saying, it's over there, those people. It doesn't affect us. So once you have that attitude, the people who are more prone to being assholes, beep! I don't know if you can swear on YouTube, so.
Well, yeah, I think you can. You just have to make sure that you've made it clear that it's not for kids.
Not for kids. Should be. But Generation Alpha is interesting because they were supposed to be the savior, but now you've got 10-year-olds obsessed with makeup to make themselves look better. So I'm thinking, holy cow, the trickle-down effect. And so I was talking about all that cosmetic, all this artificial stuff. Older women are responsible for how, older women have made younger women terrified of aging. Because that women get to a point like, I can't be bothered anymore, that stuff's for the young people. It's like, really? Your essence, your beauty, or whatever was just for what? And that's what I don't get when people, it's like, so it was just to ensnare, it was just to get attention. It wasn't your gift, the temple that you were born with. And as I have talked about many times, and I will talk about here, because unless you, of course, you go to our Instagram accounts, or I will have to talk about it here, about what beauty, what I feel beauty is, the whole point of it. It was never supposed to be, beauty was never supposed to be the be all and the end all. Now it has happened that way. Everyone's whole pursuit is beauty and power with it. Instead of someone who has presence is because they've got something that needs to be shared with the others. Someone who has beauty has got some other skill that beauty draws the attention for. So, you know, that, and that's why I do understand the talent of modeling. I am an ex-model, and I still do, and I think I'm a better model as I've gotten older. It's about drawing, it's about using one's essence, or using one's, you know, whatever, to draw attention to that. So a model uses the physicality to draw attention to whatever it is the model's wearing, or promoting, or selling. You know, it's a tool. But it's not because of the beauty, it's about how that person utilizes that beauty. Now it's different, but then why are the supermodels of the 90s still, why are they back? Because there is a lack of individuality. Now, very sadly, I think that the supermodels don't deserve their supermodel title anymore. If you have been dubbed a supermodel and you've got to try that hard, and that you think that youth is what made you the supermodel, yeah, nah, mate, that ain't it. But anyway, is anything changing? Sure. Is it changing for the better?
Well, I always cite the fact that we watch all these ads on TV. You know, UN, people starving in Africa, and all these celebrities and stuff. And I've been watching these from the 90s.
You're right. I've been watching these from the 70s.
Yeah.
You know, someone starving, help this person, blah, blah, blah. And that's the question.
All celebrities on TV to, you know, say, you know, donate this much. But why are there still people starving in places like this? So that's a non-change. That's not happened.
That's right. It's still, people are still, it's getting worse.
Even now you see it.
It's getting worse.
Yeah.
Refugees, you know, still escaping their countries that are bombed, and it's all, everything can be narrowed down. I mean, my gosh, we have such anarchy in the world at this moment. And something that has been going on for now 76 years. Still going on. And now, of course, because of social media, people are becoming more aware of it. But my issue with that is also people tend to jump on bandwagons. People tend to, and this is where that avoidance comes in. So two things. So avoidance of self. People either use other things, advocate for other things as a form of denial, or then the positive mindset, like, no, everything is just, you know, there are people who don't necessarily care what's happening in the world. As long as they're content. As I have mentioned my healing trajectory, right? I do say now to people that I'm just finally at peace, bliss. I'm safe. I have trust. You know, trust is very important for women. Women need trust. It is men, and I'm now being binary about it because I'm talking about energies. The non-binary and it's the exterior. It's the vessels that create the confusion. Anyway. Then I should be content, right? I'm content. But my individual contentment has now made me really see how the world doesn't want individuals to be content. And if they do say content, then you've got to move on and just be yourself and just don't worry, stay in your lane. Woo! So if you've attained individual contentment, it's basically stuff the rest of the world. Oh, and this is why privilege is a thing that exists. In a world, this earth that provides everything that we need, including human beings, so where do you think we came from? Why does privilege only exist for a certain percentage of this world. Anyway, so we're talking about change. Is anything changing? No, but you've got to start with yourself. Individual change. So that's what we've done. We've done it with this. We've jumped in the deep end. We're on YouTube live. Oh, and just in time, see how change happens. I should equate the scone making with the change thing, right? Like what happened, it was this, it was lemonade, it was cream, it was flour, and now they're scones. Oh my God, darling. I want to just, look, we'll show you. Just tear it apart. Okay, well, I guess that's us for today.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for being here. We'll see you the next time on The Daily Egg on our YouTube channel, STV. If you haven't subscribed, please do. We really do want you to subscribe because I feel we've got things of
Nutritional value.
Thank you. Thank you, my darling. All right. So I never know how to end, so I'm just going to do it, and I don't know how to end on YouTube. How does one end on YouTube? Oh my gosh, so this is going to be nice. Find out for me how we change. I'll just bear with us here. Okay, I don't know how we end. Whoopsies. We're live, but how do we end? Oh my God. Yes. Okay.
All right.